Continuing with potential cross reactions that would be negative. So if a patient is blood type A, they have surface molecule A on their red blood cells, and they also have antibody anti-B in their bloodstream, which is fine because anti-B antibodies are not going to attack molecule A on red blood cells. So the patient can receive blood from a donor who's blood type O or blood type A. And the reason that's okay, and the little diagrams here, the figures indicate that the red blood cells are fine, separated, they're not clumping or agglutinating, there's no negative reaction. Why is there no negative reaction with blood type O? Well, let's look. Blood type O, the donor red blood cells have no surface molecule. So since there's no surface molecule, the patient's anti-B antibodies have nothing to attack. All right? So blood type O could be a donor for blood type A. How about blood type A? Well, that's the same blood type. So blood type A donor is going to be red blood cells that have surface molecule A, and that's okay because patient A, blood type A, has anti-B antibodies, and they're not going to attack molecule A. But notice what happens with a potential donor of blood type B or blood type AB. The red blood cells clump together, something called clumping or agglutination, which is bad, harmful. Worst case scenario, fatal. Okay, why? Blood type B donor. Blood type B. Surface molecule B, but they have, they have surface molecule B and they have anti-A antibody. But the red blood cells at blood type B donor could donate to patient blood type A. Notice what happens. Blood type B red blood cells from a donor introduced to a patient blood type A. Those donor red blood cells from blood type B are going to have surface molecule B. Surface molecules B will be attacked by the patient's anti-B antibodies. And the anti-B antibodies, will latch onto their surface molecules B and cause them to clump together. Many of the red blood cells will clump together, causing this negative reaction. How about a potential donor of AB blood? Blood type AB donor has red blood cells with surface molecules A and B. If those red blood cells from a donor blood type AB get introduced into patient A, patient A's anti-B antibodies will attack surface molecule B on the donated blood, causing clumping. Okay? So blood type AB and blood type B cannot be donors for blood type A because they have anti-B antibodies, which would attack surface molecules B on blood type B and blood type AB blood, if that was to be donated. All right, let's look at patient blood type B. They can accept blood from blood type O and blood type B. Why? Blood type O, no surface molecules that could be attacked by patient B's anti-A antibodies. Blood type B, same type of blood cells introduced, surface molecule B, but they will not be attacked by anti-A antibodies. But notice there's a negative reaction with blood type A if that's donated. Why? Blood type A, surface molecule A, if that gets introduced into patient B has anti-A antibodies, which would attack the surface molecules on blood type A, but also surface molecules on blood type AB. Notice here, AB. So patient B, blood type B, can only accept blood from blood type O individuals and blood type B individuals. Notice patient AB now. Since their red blood cells have both surface molecules, patient AB produces no antibodies. Patient AB can receive blood from any donor. And finally, blood type O, since they do not have any surface molecules on their red blood cells, they produce both antibodies, anti-A and anti-B antibodies, which means blood type O, the only safe donor is going to be blood type O. Blood type O donor has no surface molecules to be attacked by patient blood type O's antibodies. So a bit complicated there, but notice here, blood type AB can receive any blood, so blood type AB individuals are often referred to as universal acceptors or universal recipients of blood. And blood type O is often referred to as a universal donor because their red blood cells have no surface molecules, and blood type O's blood can be given to essentially any patient. So a bit to condense there, I know. All right. Cardiovascular disease. So cardiovascular disease are diseases of the heart and blood vessels, and they account for about 1/3 of deaths in the United States. So cardiovascular disease is serious business. Our coronary arteries are the arteries that are supplying blood to the heart itself. So they supply oxygen-rich blood to the heart musculature of the heart. And if there's a blockage, like an embolism, that could lead to dead muscle tissue forming and actually leading to what's called a heart attack. So again, the coronary arteries are the arteries that are supplying blood to this muscular pump, the heart. And they're branching off, the coronary arteries branch off the aorta. The aorta is carrying oxygen-rich blood in the systemic circuit, and some of that blood serves the heart itself via or through the coronary arteries. And cardiovascular disease, causes of it, we're more susceptible as we age. There's genetic factors. If there's a history of cardiovascular disease in the family, you're more likely to get it. Ethnicity, some ethnicities are more prone to cardiovascular disease than others. High blood pressure, remember that silent killer. Obesity, if we're overweight. Physical inactivity, if we're couch potatoes for too long or too much, that can help with the onset of cardiovascular disease, and like obesity. And of course, everyone's favorite, one of the worst things you can possibly do is smoking, because it affects your health in so many different ways. Can contribute to cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes as well. So arteriosclerosis is a chronic disease, meaning kind of long-term disease of the coronary and other arteries in the body, where fatty plaque buildup develops in the inner walls of the arteries, and it can develop to the point where it can essentially completely block the artery. And this situation here is simply a partial blockage, but that means it's limiting blood flow. So when the coronary artery becomes partially blocked, persons may feel occasional chest pain, something called angina. If the coronary artery becomes essentially fully blocked, the heart muscle cells that are not receiving oxygen and glucose will die quickly, just takes a couple minutes, and that's a heart attack. How bad the heart attack depends on the size of the blockage of the artery, whether it's a small one or a larger one, and which particular artery in the heart, in terms of which particular coronary arteries. But once the heart experiences cell death in certain tissue of the heart due to the heart attack, that dead tissue cannot be regenerated by the heart itself. Okay, let's see here. All right. So about 1/3 of heart attacks victims will die very quickly, but that means 2/3 can survive. So the survivors have to deal with the ability of the damaged heart to be able to pump blood sufficiently. So the damaged heart can be, it could lead to a serious impairment of the ability of the heart to pump blood because the damaged heart tissue cannot be replaced or repaired. So one possible treatment to blocked arteries is a procedure that's called angioplasty. This is where they insert a tiny thin catheter, a long tube, with a long tube that actually carries a balloon inside and a stent, which we'll talk about, into the artery that has the plaque that's blocking the artery, even if partially blocking. So once the catheter is in place, the balloon is inflated, so that helps remove the blockage of the plaque, kind of just plastering it out, smoothing it out, widening the blood vessel. This is done quickly. Then when the balloon expands, the stent also expands and stays in place. Then the balloon is deflated, the catheter is removed, and the stent stays in place, helping keep the previously, at least partially blocked blood vessel due to the plaque now open. So this is one potential solution for a clogged artery. So the stent is a small wire mesh that will pop open and will stay open during the angioplasty, again after the balloon and the catheter have been removed. Of course, this isn't going to solve all the problems that the patient may have, because the reason for the plaque buildup may have been due to things like inactivity, smoking, obesity. So those issues should be dealt with, need to be dealt with. Otherwise, plaque buildup is going to continue in the other blood vessels, and there's only so much that a stent can solve in terms of the procedure of angioplasty. So coronary bypass is another option, another solution for blocked arteries. So bypass surgery, it's a more drastic remedy because they have to actually do an open chest surgery. But what they do is they take a vein from elsewhere in the body and they sew it onto the heart to bypass the blockage. So for example, here, the bypass is a vein that's attached from the aorta, which is carrying oxygen-rich blood, to one of the coronary arteries beyond the blockage, so that this heart tissue can hopefully still be amply supplied with nutrients and oxygen. This example over here is through another artery, longer bypass to a region of the heart beyond the blockage. So the plaque that might be causing the blockage is bypassed with a vein from elsewhere in the body so that the blood flow is maintained and secured. So continuing, cardiovascular disease can involve lots of factors, inherited factors, genetic factors, and however, cardiovascular disease can be reduced by not smoking, exercising regularly, maintaining a healthy body weight, and a diet that's high in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and lower in meats, especially red meats like beef and pork, and fats, and highly processed foods, which is the opposite of whole grain foods, like brown rice versus white rice, whole wheat bread versus white bread. So the death rate from cardiovascular disease has been cut in half in about the past 50 years. Other things are still problematic, like smoking and obesity. And cancers have become more common due to things like smoking. But we have made headway on cardiovascular disease in the last 50 years in terms of fatalities. So let's look at animal respiration. So cellular respiration uses oxygen, if you remember this from a previous chapter, and glucose to produce ATP, that direct source of energy to the cells, with the waste product of oxygen and water. Cellular respiration. So cells therefore must need a constant supply of oxygen from the environment and a constant disposal of carbon dioxide back into the environment that's obtained through inspiration, breathing in, and expiration, breathing out. The oxygen and carbon dioxide, that gas exchange occurs in the lungs, the pulmonary circuit. Oxygen-rich blood gets back to the heart and then delivered to the entire